Hello everyone, hello Lambayeque IoT community. My name is Robert David Arosemena Montesa, and this opportunity I am going to share you a new information, a relevant information to teach in class and what involves this way to teach and to learn. Well, the learning in this time, flip learning. In this opportunity we are going to learn about this way to learn using the methodology and flipped learning. Attention! Blended learning, hybrid learning, the flipped classrooms. What's the difference? Continue with the next slides. You have to difference among these contents, blending, hybrid, and flipped. Please pay attention. Learning models, blended learning or blending classrooms. The term blended learning refers to a category of different learning models. Blended learning models use a cohesive integrated combination of face-to-face instruction at a brick and mortar location and online instructions. The long portion includes the live webcasting, recorded videos, and other forms of technology that complement and enrich in-person instruction, rather than replace or repeat it. So, blended learning differs from other types of offline learning in that the students have some control over the time, place, and pace they go through the online content. Learning models. Hybrid learning, hybrid classroom, or hybrid teaching. In a hybrid learning models, faculty decide which portion of the course are best taught online and which are best situated in the person class time. And all students follow the same combination of online and in-person learning. The term hybrid learning is often used interchangeably with a blended learning, but they are not one and the same. The online instruction is a hybrid classroom, typically makes up a significant portion of the course and replaces some of the face-to-face instruction, rather than complementing it. So, finally, flipped learning classrooms or flipped classroom learning. A flipped classroom is a form of blended learning. In this specific approach, the online portion of the course is used to share new information with the students before in-person class time. When a student attends the class, they build off the way they've learned online by engaging in face-to-face discussions, activity, and collaborations. So, what is flipped learning? I often define simplistically as schoolwork at home and homework at school. Flipped learning is an approach that allows teachers to implement a methodology or various methodologies in their classrooms. Flipped learning definition. Flipped learning is a pedagogical approach in which direct instruction moves from the group learning space to individual learning space, and the resulting group space is transformed into a dynamic, interactive learning environment where the educator guides students as they apply concepts engaged creatively in the subject matter. If you notice in this picture, in a flipped learning model, the student would prepare for class by watching a video where the structure described objectives clauses are, why they are used, and the various ways to create them. So, in that way, involve how to improve their knowledge. Bloom taxonomy. We have to remember these steps before class, during class, after class. If we notice in this triangle, we have the names remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate in a more higher create. Now we have to remember step by step. First, remember It refers to recall facts and a basic concept, define, duplicate, ellipse, etc. Understand and explain ideas or concepts, classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, select, and translate. Apply. Use information in a new situation. For example, implement, solve, use, demonstrate, interpret, operate, and so on. Continue with analyze. Analyze, for example, draw connection among ideas. Organize, relate, compare, contrast, distinguish, etc. Evaluate. Justify and stand or decisions. For example, judge, defend, select, support, weight, so on. In a more higher grade, produce new or original work. For example, design, construct, conjecture, develop, formulate, author, investigate. If we remember this step, before class, the student have to understand and remember. During the class, the student have to analyze and apply the information. After the class, the student have to create and evaluate the information that before they understand or they learn. No, schoolwork and homework at the school. What refers these lines? If we remember traditional classrooms, structure prepares material to be developed in class. So, students listen to the lecture in another guides instruction in class and take notes. Finally, the students have to homework in assignment to demonstrate understanding. This is the classical classroom or traditional classroom, when the teacher only gives the students the homework. But what happens in the flipped classroom? Before, the students give instruction to record and share lecture outside of class, in this case in your home. Then, the student watch, listen to the lecture before coming to class. The student analyze the concepts. Remember, note, pay attention to this video. During the class, the student have to class time is developed to apply learning activities and more higher order thinking tasks. This is a discussion in the class. Then, a student receives support from the structure and appears as needed. This is a flipped classroom. It's different to the traditional classroom. It's more engaging to the students. The flipped classroom. In this case, we have to notice the step by step of the line, the timeline. We start with a student prepared to participate in class activity. This is occurred before in class. The student, for example, watch a video about a topic to involve into the class. Then, the student during the class practice and apply key concepts with feedback. This is the goal of the class. Before, in class, during the class, the student practice. Then after, students check their understanding and stem their learning. So it's most interesting because the students receive all the time information to resolve to improve their knowledge. This is the flipped learning. Why is flipped learning important? First, when students have access to the direct instruction at home, whether through video or text, they can review the concept multiple times at their own pace. Secondly, when the class time is spent having students explain, analyze, evaluate, and create a structure can observe informal steps and scaffold as needed. Finally, one of the great benefits of flipped learning is increased student engagement. So, why is flipped learning important? You have to recognize this step and You can say what is important this learning to apply into our classes. 3 tips for flipping your class. First tip, start small. You don't need to flip your entire class overnight. Start with just one lesson and then build from there. The most important is use one concept, one realia, one topic. Not use a lot of information. You concentrate and you have to engage one goal with your students. Then, expect some resistance. Occasionally, students might be initially resistant to this approach, especially those who are used to teacher-centered learning environments. They may need time to see the value in this pedagogical approach. Remember, in the class-sit teaching, the class-sit learning, only students only receive the information, but in this case, the students have to use their knowledge to apply this new information. In these cases, expect some resistance. Number 3. Choose textbook with a digital tools. Many publishers now include online material with their textbook, and this can be used to move some of direct instruction out of the class. It's important to use digital textbooks when include videos. But what happens, teacher, if I don't find textbooks or digital textbooks? You can use short, short films. It's important to resolve their class. The 4 pillars of flipped learning. Flexible environment. In flexible environment, permit to the students interact and reflect about your necessities to learn. Continually observe and monitor the student to make adjustments as appropriate, and provide the student with a different way to learn content and demonstrate mastery. Learning culture. A learning culture is to give the student opportunity in participate in activities without the teacher. In scale of these activities and make that accessible to all students through differentiation and feedback. Intentional content. Intentional content is simplified to accept to the students about a concept and used during their learning. Is prioritize the concept used in a direct instruction for learning to accept on their own. Create or curate relevant content about typically videos for your students. Professional educator. Professional educator is made myself available to the students for individual small group and class feedback in a real time as needed. Conduct ongoing formative assessment during class time through observation and by recording data to inform future instruction. And the most important, collaborate and reflect with other educators and take responsibility to transforming their practice. Principles of flipped learning. First, flexible and feedback. Countering different learning styles, individual learning space, setting out learning space and time, and prompt and constructive feedback. Countering different learning styles. We know in our classes we have different students and different styles to learn. So you have to remember, you have to notice about their styles to learn and you have to apply. For example, some students only learn more using videos, using pictures, using contents, memorize include. Individual learning space. It's important to give to the students in space to learn individually because in this way the student is most comfortable to improve their knowledge and to take actions to learning. Prompt and constructive feedback. It's important to constructive feedback because at this way the students have to more opportunities to do learn, to do improve their topic, their contents, their learning in class. Continue. Learner centered. Up to learning is given to preparing questions, acquiring 21st century skills, minimizing teacher roles. We remember that up to learning is the centered learning. The students is the centered learning in this case, in this learning, because the students have to prepare questions, have to be more active in this learning and acquired the 21st century skills. Remember the tips. And minimizing teacher roles. The students is the principal person to do this activity, these tasks. Interactive content. Coupled with apps, providing real purpose, motivating learners, and building connections. Interactive content is referred to give a real purpose to the students to motivate and learn too, because we know in the student learn more if we give a new content a real purpose to improve their knowledge and the student engage with tabs with these tabs. Practice by doing. In practice by doing is applying a concept, comes in checking deeper understanding and greater retention. Remember this important word, practice by doing. If you practice and doing, if you practice and teach to other students, you have to greater retention. You have to a deeper understanding because the students learn more if the student teach other students. Flipped learning, the learning pyramid. We see about the average retention rate after 24 hours. In this case, we have to notice about the percent when you retention, when you apply these skills. For example, in lecture, simple lecture, your retention is 5%. When you're reading, 10%. When you use audiovisual, your retention is 20%. Demonstration, 30%. Discussion group, 50%. And the most important, practice by doing and teaching others. Practice by doing is 75% and teach others 90%. So remember, when you do your class, it's necessary your students practice by doing and teach other students because that is where your retention their retention is 75%, in another case 90%. What's important is apply this learning pyramid in our students. Flipped learning benefits. What is the benefits about learning? Various systems, opportunities to review, more time to support students, curtail down learning's behavioral issues, deeper understanding of concepts, independent learning, ownership of words, accessible content, instant feedback, countering multiple learning styles, and high quality to work. Flipped content tool, high-tech household in classes. Well, we remember about the steps to do our classes using the flipped learning, remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. In these times, in 21st century, we have to use the different skills, we have to use the different tools to teach and to learn. For example, remember you have to use Ninja Words, Create, Flickr, etc. Understanding you have to use Google Web Inspirations, applying Go to Web 20, analyzing Google 2, Google 10, multiply 10, evaluating Rabbit. YouTube, so on, and creating you have to use protagonize and voice thread. It depends of you using different tools or another applications or apps. For example, websites, online exercise, you have to use quizzes too. Recording lectures, supplemental videos, instructional content. I don't know exactly. You can use different too. Teach, TED Talk, YouTube, podcast, ebook, blog, visual note making, simulation games, tag, Modo, Google Groups, Wikispace, teaching channel, Quizless. So the most important question in these times, you consider WhatsApp involved in this context and tool? Of course, you can use WhatsApp too, but remember you can to use or you can to give the steps. Remember understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. For example, remembering understanding, you have to create a video using, for example, PowerPoint. You give the video to the student previously to the class. The student have to remember understanding. Then in class, the student have to analyze and apply about the video, about the topic, and that before you give. Then when you help When you help students, the students have to create and evaluate that topic, that date, improve that date, and learn into the class. In other cases, we use picture or textbooks to the students to learn more. It depends of you. Different use, different apps to learn, to teach your class. And that this way you have to involve the flipped learning. The digital divide: no-tech household and low-tech classes. Low-tech classes when involved, for example, in some cases, the technology, they involve the web. In our times, we know that students have to access to the internet, to the web. In other students don't have internet in this class. What what kind is you consider to resolve this problem? Oh, for example, well, my students don't have access to the class into internet. For example, I can use PowerPoint. PowerPoint is a free, in the free digital, in the free app digital. You can use games. You can use audios. I don't know. You can use chips. You can use puppets to improve your teaching, improve your learnings too. It depends. Use different ways to learn, different way to teach your class. Will involve a little technology or more technology. It depends your students. It depends your context when you teach. Cooking show, taste bath time. In this case, we have to learn about how to cook in shop using taste bath time. Remember, in Flipper Learning, we use the the remembering, the evaluating, and then create tool. This is the more important steps when you have to include. First, talking to mount nothing down receipts, sharing receipts, and negotiating for the best stump. Working in collaboration, learning cooking vocabulary, searching for health benefits of the main ingredient, assuming roles of house chefs, nutritionists, and colors. Then, well, we notice about the process of this learning. First of all, we have to talking about our most nothing down receipts. That include the information, the previous information. Then in the class, the students have to share in receipts have to share the information between them or among them. Then, if they have to include more, or they have to improve more information, for example, they can share in for the health benefits of the main ingredient. For example, search on the net. Then assuming roles of health care, nutritional, and color. Then they have to apply their knowledge or have to show this knowledge. And then finally, they assuming the product and share to the rest of the student. So, in flipped learning, so is referred to the student have to more active, have to active. Is the principal person to teach, is the principal person to learn and involve this class. The change in your hands depend of you. There you use flipped learning in your classes. Thank you for your attention, everyone. Thank you for your attention, ILT community, Lambayeca region. See you soon. Bye bye. Take care.